In this video, you can see that I have code coverage highlighted. This is a change that's been put into RDI with 9605. You can see the change here says you can now export your results to PDF, but I think it's more than that. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to bring up 9604 first so you can see what was originally the code coverage. Before I even do that though, I'm going to first debug and show you the difference between debugging and code coverage. Because this particular program requires a parameter, I have to prompt it first. So I'm going to say debug prompt batch, and I'll say how to start, and I'm going to come over here and type in my parameter just like this. And when I say debug, the job will get submitted to the job queue, and I will get switched into my debug perspective, as you can see. And the job right now is an event wait status, and I can step through the code just like as I'm doing right now, pressing F6, and you can see that I'm stepping through the code and the program is being debugged, and it lets me monitor what's going on with the program. I'm going to hit resume here because I want this program to finish to the end. Just wanted to show you what debug does. So let me close this. I don't need this open, and go back to my RSE, because now when I click on code coverage, right click, and I'll say code coverage prompt batch. Here's my window. This looks very much like my debug window. So here is my how to start. I'll type my parameter in right over here, just like so. And now instead of the word debug, it says the word coverage. So I'll submit that. Now there's a very distinct difference here. What's going to happen is this program will get submitted to batch, but it will not allow me to step through the code. The program was going to run to completion. So here's coverage. The job is actually running right now, and it just finished. It's a very tiny data set that it's processing. But when the program finishes, as it just did, I now get another view that opens up, the code coverage results view. And this is the result of the program execution. This is what code coverage means. Code coverage will show me the actual lines of code that were executed. So if I open up that program, it's telling me that in that particular program there were 18 lines of code, not a lot. I know that. Uncovered, 25 lines altogether. 18 lines were covered, 7 were not covered or not executed. So that's 72% of the code. I can double click on that program and say OK, and it will bring up the actual source code as I'm doing right now, and it will put a green and red symbol next to the lines. The lines that were executed are green, the ones that were not executed are red. But back in this view over here, so this is 9604. I'm now going to do the same exact process, but I'm going to do it with RDI 9605. So let me open up that instance. Here it is. This is now 9605. Here's my little gut check, and there it is. And the same thing, right click and say code coverage prompt batch. There it is again. I'll say how to start. I'll type my parameter in just like this. It's in. Click on coverage. Now the same thing will happen. It'll get submitted to batch, and when it's completed, I will get the result. So here's coverage. It's running as we speak. It just finished, and you'll see that it has a very different look and feel in 9605 than it did in the previous version. Same functionality, essentially, but it's cleaner to me. It looks different, and there's a nice filter here, which you can do in the other one as well, but you have to go on the other on a tab to go get it, where I can turn a filter on over here, and I can type in a number here and only show those modules or programs that had a low percentage of coverage. The default is 80, as you can see. What was mentioned in the fix list, though, is this new export feature. Well, export was always there, but now you notice that I have a drop-down box here, and I have PDF here. That's the enhancement that I can export as a PDF, and it will create a PDF of the results, which I can then email to people or just save it for future reference, things like that. There's also this other export thing, Sonar Cube. Sonar Cube. That is a code quality monitoring platform. You go to sonarcube.org and you'll see what I'm talking about there. And finally, in code coverage, this is also not new, but what you can do is, this is on the bottom here. These are two different runs that I ran today, two different coverages, and I can highlight both of them, right click, and I can compare them with each other. I can merge them, things like that. So it gives me the opportunity to, for example, run the same program multiple times with different data sets. That can be very helpful to see if all the lines of code are being executed, things like that. So that's code coverage. That's the enhancement that IBM has made. That's the PDF is really what they talked about, but again, it's a much cleaner interface, I think. It looks very different than it did in 9604. So I encourage you to play with code coverage. It offers a lot of good features, and enjoy it. 9605. Thank you.